Hey everybody, greetings and salutations. This is your pal Lo. I am here today to talk to you about another art style, and one that's very deep and close to my heart. That was used on one of my favorite productions, done by the wonderful people at Rankin Bass Jr. But before I continue, I want to personally thank Serum Lake, as well as the other YouTubers who talk about this wonderful film, and thank them for all their commitment in bringing this wonderful joy to life. And what's this special I'm talking about? Why, it's none other than The Hobbit here. I'm sure many of you have seen The Hobbit sometime or another, whether it be in a classroom, or if you're like me and you were lucky enough to grow up with it in the 80s, you might have been able to catch a broadcast of it on NBC, which featured back in 1977, or, even more so, catch it on Disney Channel, which was one of the reasons why many of us wanted Disney Channel back in the day. You see, The Hobbit is very special to me. It's not only because it's what got me into Tolkien lore as well as many others, but it's also just a wonderful piece of film. This is a beautiful television special that was super popular. I can't stress it out enough about its troubled production history, with it being on VHS, to being on DVD, to even on streaming. Yeah, believe it or not, this was on HBO Max during its first run. However, they took this off the air for a couple of years, and as of this year, they actually returned it back. However, they didn't do it to its overlooked step-cousin, Return of the King, which I'll probably make a video about that another time. Now, another reason I wanted to talk heavily about this wonderful film was, really, it's because of the art that went into it. And I think that's the main reason why a lot of YouTubers, especially Tolkienites, who talk so much about The Hobbit, how much it means to them, how much it's integral to Lord of the Rings, but they overlook this wonderful TV special. And, you know, a lot of them are younger, a lot of them grew up with the Peter Jackson films, and there are things that aren't perfect with it, but I could still enjoy any interpretation of one of my favorite stories. But when you overlook one of the best ones that came out, or you think it's inferior, that's when I gotta start throwing hands. But more importantly, though, I'm here to talk about the art style and why a lot of people overlook to it, but also try to educate people on why it is a wonderful piece of masterful work that you should all check out. So we'll go ahead and begin from the very beginning as to why does The Hobbit look like this? What's with this art style? Well, this all goes back to Lester Abrams. You may not know him, but I'm sure you might have seen this book in a library back when you were a kid. Lester Abrams has done a lot of children's books and illustrations, and each one of them is more whimsical than the last. But one thing he's been known for is to do some intricate detail, beautiful ways of framing characters, but more importantly, he knows how to do pudgy characters. Really round, soft, comedically pudgy. And that's what got Rankin Bass Jr. together to look at his work. Because you see, they approached him about doing The Hobbit because he did illustrations for a Reader's Digest of Bilbo meeting up with Gollum for Riddles in the Dark. It was his illustrations of how he did Gollum and how he did Bilbo that really caught the writer. Like, we want this guy. This guy has a very whimsical art style that we're going for, and we could definitely use that for this production. Because you see, Rankin Bass, who's been known for doing holiday specials, and let's face it, they're dominant force. They got Rudolph, Frosty, Santa Claus is coming to town, and so much more that, you know, they want to be known for more than just holiday specials. They wanted to kind of crack on, you know, the fantasy genre, and considering that they're all fans of the work, they wanted to bring that project some justice. Give it a beloved holiday special, or beloved special in general that you can watch any old time, which I definitely thank him for, because they definitely wowed my childhood. So with that being said, Lester here got involved in the project. He became an art director, and they wanted to go with his art direction. He would also handle character designs and concept duties, but he also passed them off to two really, really super artists known as Taguchi Kubo and Ted Wolfe. I bet many of you might remember that name, and that's probably for a little project he worked on known as, I don't know, something involving cat people and them saving the world from an evil mummy. You probably never heard of that. Nah, no one's ever heard something like that. But they got them involved. And under his tutelage, or really under his art direction, they were able to create something wonderful and magical together. Now, on behest of Lester Abrams, he did instruct Rankin Bass to also use the works of Arthur Rackham. I apologize if I'm getting the names mixed up, but there's Lester Abrams, and then there's Arthur Rackham here. Now, he himself is a well-known illustrator who did a lot of fantasy books, mainly children's books as well. But he has this beautiful, washed-out watercolor style, and his trees are intricately detailed and beautiful. You can see that in a lot of his works, and what went into them, and how they inspired the backgrounds for a lot of the paintings used for the Hobbit production. If you can look right here, this is actually some of the references they used to make these beautiful trees, and it's hard to deny it. Even the washed out coloring is on key with Arthur Rackham over here. So that made things perfect. So, with the two character designers involved, Suguchi Kubo, as well as Ted Wolfe, they would do a rough outline of Lester Abrams' art style. And then they would translate it from doing it rough to refining the artwork to make it a lot more better and a lot more suitable for a TV special. So from rough illustrations to a cleaner, finer product. Now, I think this is where people get confused and they say, oh, I don't like the animation. So they're once again talking about artwork. And on one of my shorts, I brought up that when people say they don't like the animation, what they really mean is they don't like the art direction. And that's truly what it came down to. Because this is nothing like Disney, and this is nothing like Warner Brothers. This was their own thing, and with the wonderful animators from Topcraft, who would later work on other Rankin Bass productions, but you'll probably know them best for branching off and working with Studio Ghibli to make those films masterful, just like they did this one. It just came together in a beautiful collective that you would rarely see nowadays. Now, right here I have with me is the Hobbit art book. So, this is one that Rankin Bass did back in the day, back in the 70s. I wasn't alive then. I was an 80s kid. But I was able to get a hand on this copy, and I can't tell you how wonderful and masterful this work is. There is so much that they put in designs here and were experimenting with. And they wanted to make something unique and different. They did not want to make anything atypical Disney, so no one's going to be flamboyantly beautiful. And they do break out in songs, but it's only because the songs were from Tolkien. So they were honoring that material. And with this book, you get to see not only a lot of the artistry that went into it, but you also get to see that they had some unused material. For you see, Bjorn was actually going to be part of the story. I apologize if I say that wrong for all you purists out there, so please forgive me, and if you want to yell in the comment section, go right ahead. It is your damn right. But I do want you to know that aside from the artistry, they were just trying to tell you a unique narrative. This is your gateway to getting into The Hobbit. They wanted you to know that this is a treasure adventure story, but you, the viewer, were with Bilbo the whole time. This is about your journey with him and see all the things he went through. And thanks to this art team, they're really able to put that together. They just went out of the way to make sure things look wonderfully beautiful. The character designs are extremely detailed because you will not see this many wrinkles for any character outside of a production like this. There's another reason why it stands out from, other specials, television series, whatever, because they have their own way of doing things. And honestly, this won't be matched by many. You will not see anything like this modern days without use of digital techniques, coloring, things of that nature. This is all hand-drawn, people. And I can't help but just say it's just so mastery. Like, even the goblins were monstrous and vicious. They weren't little imps with green skin and pointed noses. No. These were all beasts. And let's face it, if you've watched the special as much as I did, you know they got a damn good theme when it comes to torture music and grabbing their prisoners. I'm like, look, I know I'm your prisoner. I know you're going to be chaining me up, but can we just rock that beat again? That was some jams going on. But yeah, all this came together to make one hell of a production. And that's how we got some unique designs, some unique inspirations, and even their work after this would later inspire other creations that Rankin Bass would do. For example, we're going to go ahead and pick on Ted Wolfe a little bit, because when they did the production for Thundercats, a lot of their design work from The Hobbit was reused in here, whether it be Lion-O's Fable, Sword of Omens. A lot of that design is very heavily used from Bilbo's sword Sting, or dagger. Now, this is an early concept of it, but a lot of his blade work, especially his final design, did get reused in the Sword of Omens, and even some of the creature designs were, like my absolute favorite here, Gollum. This was an early Suguchi Kubo illustration, but then he got more refined, and even for the final product, they gave him his creepy eyes, his dark skin, with webbed toes. Even though some versions of his description do kind of fluctuate, they did try to make sure to make him match as much as the book as possible, because believe it or not, he was considered an unknown thing. If you read the book, it says there were plenty of unknown things down here, and one of them was old Gollum. I do not know who he is or where he came from, but he's Gollum. He's dark and terrible as darkness itself. So, with that being said, there was a lot that went in this production, and it just became a huge hit. It was beloved by many. Librarians would constantly grab a tape so they could show their students, and this would be their way of getting into Lord of the Rings. Now, they would later work on another production for The Return of the King, but unfortunately, that's its overlooked step cousin. It's not as beloved. In fact, a lot of people frown on it, but I'll defend this one at another time. But I do hope you understand that thanks to these wonderful artists and illustrators, from Lester Abrams to Arthur Rackham's beautiful design work and backgrounds, to Suguchi Kubo, Ted Wolfe, all coming together to make this wonderful production come to life, and why the art style is so unique. So whenever you hear someone talking about, they don't like the animation, they're really just saying they don't like the art style. And you know what? That's fine, but that didn't affect the story to make it so good and wonderful. If anything, I would ask them, okay, if you hate the design so much, who would you rather have doing the artwork? That's what I would ask. And that should be the general question, because if you want Disney, you'd have to go with, okay, who do we have in Disney during the Dark Ages during that time? Because Don Bluth left Productions, and he took a lot of great animators with him, so we wouldn't have him anymore. And I apologize to anyone who's got arachnophobia. I know the spiders are creepy, but, I had to gloss over them for a brief bit. But anywho, that's all I have to share for today, but I do want any of you to let me know if you have any questions, any concerns, or if you want to talk more about Rankin Bass animation, let me know. There's a lot I can share, and I'm just a mere fanboy, so I'm no true expert, but I do want you to know that you got a guy who loves this stuff. Loves it immensely. In fact, thanks to their productions, especially with The Hobbit, I was able to get into other works that they've done, such as everyone's favorite, The Last Unicorn, which, admittedly, I love the movie, but I don't love it as much as I love Flight of Dragons. Oh, baby, yeah. Maybe we should talk about them in the future. But till then, everyone, you all have a great day. You take care, and enjoy the wonders.